Another international break obviously brings more Ruben Amorim interviews, and some of the quotes and things he was saying during the international break, which I picked up on, was which I actually thought was quite good. Actually, him sort of saying, "I have changed, I have learned, I have been too emotional." Sort of just picking up on the things that he knows he needs to improve on as a coach, and I've looked at the data here, and that's why we had to start to go long from Liverpool onwards, etc., etc. Did you like to hear that from him, because it shows that he has evolved in the last year, and does it back up what you saw? Yes, do the two marry up? Because he says that, but then at the same time, Ryan's just literally spoke about how he is going to stick with the same system, and like you just said, he's not going to change.
Yeah, I mean, there've been subtle changes. I think Longman's coming in has helped with that, because he's a lot better with the ball at his feet than both Onana and Altay Bayındır. But you look at games like last night, and there's a big argument that it's his 1 year anniversary since he took charge of his first game, and actually nothing has changed, because it was back to the dark old days. And then you look at some of his quotes. He said he's afraid that the old habits of last season are going to set in again. That's not really what you want to hear from the Manchester United manager on the back of a defeat. And actually, even before the game, he pretty much said, "Well, I can't tell you what Manchester United are going to turn up, because I never know." Yeah. Well, surely after a year, you should know. It's your job to make sure this team is best equipped and best prepared. It's a massive missed opportunity last night. This show, the league table would have had such a different complexion if they'd just gone out and done the job properly. They'd have been in the top 5 in the table, only outside the top 4, I think, on goal difference. Instead, we're down in 10th now and facing a daunting trip to Selhurst Park at the weekend, which has become a bit of a dodgy hunting ground in recent seasons. So, as I say, all the goodwill that Ruben Amorim built up, manager of the month for October, I think was washed away with one dreadful performance. And I reiterate it, for me, that was as lamentable as what we saw against Grimsby.
Yeah, it really wasn't good. And in terms of lack of options and the quality in depth, when we have to start changing things, there was no Seska, there was no Cunha. It left us with the squad that it left us with. Obviously, Martinez was back on the bench, which is good, but obviously wasn't able to come on. It's probably still a bit too early, but it's good to see him back on the bench. Kobbie Mainoo got to come on. I'm not going to lie. I was glad he got on for extended minutes, longer than he's been playing recently. But every time he's come on, I look at him, he's a shell of himself.
It's sad. I agree.
I know football can change very quickly, so if he gets an extended run and can start some games, it can change. But I thought it a couple of months ago when he came off against Brighton, I was just like, he just looks like he's just got no confidence, no rhythm, no continuity. It just looks like and I don't want to make excuses for him, because it's the same as if you get an opportunity, you have to show something. But it's really hard when we start making changes to that first 11, and the drop off is just so big.
Yeah, it is sad with Kobbie Mainoo, and I think that any Manchester United fan probably will say the same thing, that they feel bad, that it's uncomfortable watching it. It's a very sorry state of affairs that it's come to this, and I don't really understand how it's come to this. We've spoken before about, how he says that he's competing with Bruno Fernandes. You ain't dropping Bruno Fernandes as your captain, and he barely gets injured. So what does the future look like for him? And I agree, you come on the pitch, you should be able to grab the opportunity with both hands, but football players are human beings, and sometimes you need to feel like your manager backs you. You need to feel that confidence, that arm around the shoulder. Kobbie Mainoo's still very young, and to go from the heights of, being involved with England at that Euros final, throughout that whole tournament.
How miles off it is going into the World Cup now.
That
Crazy.
Mentally has got to take a toll. That is a huge drop, and you know what? We're seeing it across Europe. Yesterday the news broke about Vinicius Jr. and how he doesn't feel that his manager backs him, and he doesn't want to sign a contract renewal. Whether that's because, he's trying to get a better deal or whatever, people can speculate. But, the reports are saying he just feels like, this guy doesn't back me. I'm 25 years of age. I need to make stuff happen. My future clearly isn't here. You've got Kylian Mbappe and Jude Bellingham. They're the kind of shiny new toys, and scoring in 2 Champions League finals that you've won don't really count for much much. And you're seeing a player like that going through something, not the same as Cobby, obviously, but we're seeing this, that players, for whatever reason, are not being backed. They're not comfortable with it. They want to move on. I want to see Cobby Mainoo in an England shirt, forever, the Cobby Mainoo that we used to watch. But it's getting to the point where I don't know what the future is going to look like. He needs more minutes, but you're given the opportunity last night and you don't take it. It is disappointing. But for me, you're looking at AFCON, and that is what is making me nervous. I mean, Mazraoui, it's fine. He can go on an extended break. It's no problem. And it's funny because when he came in, we were all like, wow, this has actually been a decent signing. But he's miles off it, and that's okay. But missing Mbeumo and missing Amad is going to be colossal. Cunha's, really got to step up to the plate. He's been brilliant, don't get me wrong, but this is the moment where he's got to really step up. When Šeško comes back, no excuses now. You've had time. Fair enough, you've had an injury, but you're fit enough. It's go time kind of thing. And looking at the bench, though, I mean, I think the only attacking player to come on was Mason Mount.
Yeah, that's what we had. Yeah. Because after that, it was like Shea Lacey on there, Martinez on there, Ugarte on there.
You've got to address that, because as the season goes on, you are going to pick up injuries. That does happen. So it was scary for me that looking into the future, if they're at AFCON and we get one or two injuries more, it's a little bit worrying.
Like, we got bodies to put there. So like, if you say, just hypothetically, you go, okay, Mbeumo's not going to be there. You go, all right, I can play Mason Mount. You can just start 3 games in a row. No problem till Mbeumo gets back. Or, all right, I'll put Bruno right 10. No problem. Cobby, you come in. Like, we do have, all right, I'll play Xerxes in a 10. Like, there's things that we could actually do, but then when you think about them playing out, because it's not Mbeumo, and it's not linking up with Amad.
There's no guarantees it's going to work.
Exactly. And at wing back, it means you have to play Dalot for an extended period. You have to play Dorgu on the other side. It changes everything.
Of course it does. And then we're all going to be sat here again on the back of a bad result going, they're not used to playing those positions. And, this is the kind of the problem, really. And it does highlight a lack of squad depth, which isn't Ruben Amorim's fault. I mean, you did look at that bench yesterday and you think, when we were looking for something, I was thinking, where's this going to come from? Where is this going to come from? And potentially, taking out a defender and putting...
We've had 2 windows to look at. I mean, January was obviously Heaven and Dorgu. I know Amorim only just got there first couple months. The summer, we just put in a whole new attack. Probably not enough money left to get midfielders and get depth. Got a new keeper, to be fair. Was it a case of we did the maximum we could do considering we finished 15th, no Champions League?
Yeah.
And that's what we could have got. 2.5 million both for, Cunha and Mbeumo. So that's a lot. 70 odd for Šeško. So there's a lot of money spent.
Yeah.
Or was it bad planning for you?
No, unless you're Chelsea, it's going to take it's going to take loads and loads of windows to build an actual squad. Lest we forget, I don't know if we're going to move on to Amorim chat and how everyone's feeling about him, but lest we forget, we're still in the building phase. We're still very much there, and we address some first team problems in Šeško and in Mbeumo and Cunha, which at least 2 out of the 3 look like they were fantastic pieces of business. Lamens comes straight into the squad essentially as well now, which is good business. But in terms of building a squad, these things take time. So there's no doubt about it. Ruben Amorim looked at this bench and thought, oh dear, where can I go? But it's something that we have to be patient with. It's just whether we're going to be patient with Amorim. But at the same time, again, seeing people lose their heads last night about Amorim, and I get it, because you look at this performance in isolation, you go, this is horrendous, a year on, etc. But it's almost like you can't look, it's like building a house. You can't say we need to build the foundations and then complain when the scaffolding's up and there's a bit of a wobble here and a bit of a wobble here. You can't look at the blueprint and go, this doesn't look finished yet. It's not going to be finished yet. This isn't the end of the process, this performance. It's part of the process. It doesn't end there. So it's a horrendous result and a really bad performance. And don't get me wrong, and you can look at that game in isolation and say that. But like we say, more transfer windows, building a better squad and giving Ruben Amorim time, those unfortunately are the solutions in my opinion.
Crookie, Ryan's spoken there about patience. He's spoken about...
You've got loads of patience, haven't you, Crook?
He's spoken about patience. He's spoken about people sort of going in on Amorim and, just getting angry and stuff. don't know if it felt like he was talking about you specifically.
Just glad he's not in the studio, that's all.
But what do you make of that? Look, Arteta's taken 6 years essentially to build a squad that you look at. Well, I say that because that squad's been competing for the last 3 years, really. So you say it's probably taken.
It took him a good few years.
It
Everyone was
3 years.
Arteta out.
100%.
Lest we forget.
Is that a lazy comparison? Not that Ryan's made, but I mean in terms of like how patient we have to be, or do you see that like we can't keep losing our heads? As we will lose games. When you look at our squad, when you look at the lack of depth, the lack of quality past the starting 11, and even the starting 11's not quite there. This will happen across the season, but as long as we are still within touch and distance of what the objective is, which is Europe, we just have to get on with it.
I don't know. It's hard to sit and watch games like last night. Honestly, I was watching my two lads. Every time I watch with my boys, by the way, they turn an absolute stinker. We sat down and watched the Grimsby game together.
Don't try and blame your kids, Crookie. Come on.
Well, they said to me last night, why don't you go and do some DIY? Because that's what I did during the Grimsby game, and then we scored 2 goals. God. But, we grew up, and I know that we're in danger of harping back to the glory days, but I said to the lads last night, I grew up watching Cantona and Giggs and Hughes and Kanchelskis, and you're watching Dorgu, Mazraoui, Xerxes. I feel sorry for them. Because,
let them switch teams then.
No, I'm not saying that, but there are certain standards. Whatever league position we're in, and there's no divine right for anybody to win titles. We've been there. We've had the glory days. We might never get back there. But there's still basic, bare minimum standards that should be expected of a Manchester United manager, a Manchester United centre-forward, a Manchester United player. And those standards were not anywhere near hit last night. Yes, we're going to lose games, but you can't be losing like that against 10 men, against a team who never look like they're going to score a goal week in, week out. Honestly, my patience is wearing thin. Maybe I'm just not tolerant enough, but I'm not willing to accept that level.
I think you're right. I think you're right, Crookie. Of course you are. That was a dreadful performance. But even then, in your little speech, you said you talked about the players, and look at the players that you compare. You said they're watching Dorgu. I think it is part of personnel issue as well. I think we can all look at that and say, is the quality? Is this a Manchester United squad? There's plenty of players. Me and you, Flex. We picked a starting 11. Well, who's the starting 11? There was about 3 players in there that we knew that were nailed on.
There's not many players in our team that other teams would take.
No,
in their starting 11s now. The better teams. Forget like Arsenal and like City and that. I'm talking like Villa, Newcastle. I did a combined 11, and I had to lie about a few things just so I wasn't just a sitting duck, sitting on there. I got 3 players in, and it was in a 4-3-3 as well, which we don't even play that.
Yeah.
But it got that bad, and spoiler alert, but I don't care. I'm annoyed when Crookie's talking about Dorgu there. So it got to left back. Now obviously we don't even play with full backs, right? So I've gone obviously Dorgu. The guy's taking the mick out of me so bad. He goes, right, well obviously it's Lewis Hall, but to take the mick out of you, I'm even going to put Dan Burn. I'm going to put Dan Burn. And I lost my mind and started getting angry. I was saying, listen, he's just, water carrier for England. I backed it. But it was close to the bone. It's like, what are we doing? Obviously, I've put Casemiro in there, He's coming Tonali. I was like, look, you know what I mean? He's laughing at us with Sesko saying, thank you for taking him. Because I've got Voltemade, mate. And I'm going and I'm saying, look, listen. And I stuck up for Sesko. I stuck up for him. Where I did go in, I was like, listen, we're putting Bruno on the right because you still got Jacob Murphy. But anyway, but cut a long story short, I'm going to Newcastle United fans for combined 11s. And
they're below us in the table.
Do you know what I'm saying?
And they're coming out on top.
Back to the point is that the personnel issue, 100%, it is a big problem. My issue, though, was when I look at the last 3 games now, which is the second 3 games after the 3 on the bounce, the performances haven't actually been good.
No, they've not.
Forest, not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
The first half, we was all right, but then we short-circuited for 90 seconds, conceded 2 goals, and then moment of brilliance near the end. Spurs, what did we do? We didn't create anything, and we nearly lost that game. Bad performance. It was just a point rescued near the end. This game, shocking. What have we done? So when you actually look at the type of performances that we're actually putting in post the 3-game wins, it's actually been really bad. It's actually been really bad. But we took the draws because it's like, unbeaten in 5, tricky away games. the home game now we're venturing into the territory of don't start messing that up. When's the last time Everton won at Old Trafford?
It's like twice in 33 attempts or something like
2013.
that.
What was that? I can't remember the game. It might have been probably Fellaini scored or something. I don't know. So shocking. Do you know what I mean? So that's how long they haven't won there, and they're down to 10 men, and they absolutely embarrassed us. So for me, I'm worried now, because we'll move on to talking about Palace now, Crookie, because Palace, again, we all know how good they are, how organised they are, how good the manager is, how good some of the individuals that they've got are. We know what could be round the corner. Do we need to accept that, and when it happens, try to stay calm? Or will that be a real crisis back on the cards again?
Well, again, suddenly you'll be talking about 4 games without a win. And obviously all the positivity of that 5 games without defeat will have completely gone out the window. And you look at some of Manchester United's most recent trips to Selhurst Park. We all remember that hammering they took a couple of years ago. I turned the game off after about half an hour. Again, I was watching with the kids that night. So it's not been a happy hunting ground. They've had a brilliant start to the season. They've only lost 2 of their first 12 in the Premier League. And what you're going to see is one manager and one group of players who are comfortable with their system and getting the best out of that system in Oliver Glasner, and one manager who frankly isn't. And I know he doesn't want to keep talking about the systems. He keeps telling us it's not the system. That's not to blame. When we're winning games, no one talks about the system. We do, actually, because even that Brighton game, they made hard work of it in the end when the subs started to come on. And again, he wouldn't change from the system, and it was square pegs in round holes. This is the system derby. And at the moment, you can only see one winner.